your day start with a radio show since childhood? Or do you have a passion for radio, become a radio personality since childhood? So, friend, this episode belongs to you. Welcome back to another episode of Career Dynamics. Today, I am your host, Prokriti Karmakar. And today, we will discuss about the traditional medium of communication, radio. And not only that, we will also dive deep into the opportunities of audio industry. So without further ado, let me introduce to our today's special guest, Mr. Arnab Basu, a former RJ and currently an assistant professor of School of Media and Communication, Adamas University.
Thank you so much, Prokriti. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for coming. We are honored to have you in this show. So, sir, first of all, as you have very dynamic career, can you briefly give an introduction of yourselves for our audience?
So, as Prokriti has said, that I am Arnab Basu, currently working with Adamas University as an assistant professor. I am also started pursuing PhD, and prior to this academic industry, I was working with radio industry, commercial radio industry for more than one decade. And before that, I was working with television production. So, literally, it is a dynamic career of mine, and I'm enjoying this a lot.
Okay, interesting. So, I want to start my interview with a shocking statement of a radio personality that
Okay.
radio is dead. So, what is your opinion in this, sir? Does radio really dying in this digital era?
So, interesting question, first of all. But I'm not agree with you. Radio is not dying, Prakriti, because radio is an industry, and if I go by the reports by different organization who do research on different kind of media industry, and they're on, and the investment it is happening currently uh, on different kind of industry, we can see that the amount is investing, the investors who are investing in media industry and specifically in radio, the amount is huge. It is in $1 billion. So when there is an investment to a particular industry, it is not dying at all. See, it is kind of, you are doing your SIP, right? You know what is SIP? Short investment plan. We invest on SIPs to get a return which is a bigger amount in future. So investors are investing to different kind of medium to get their money in an amount which is bigger than what the amount they are investing. And the investment in radio in current days and in future is huge. So it is not dying. But I can understand from where you are asking this question. Radio is changing its traditional way of operation. When you was trying to introduce me or the topic of discussion of this interview, you said that radio is the traditional medium. I would say radio is no more a traditional medium of communication. Radio becomes a dynamic medium of communication, which is changing its characteristics every day as per the need of the time. So radio is now going digital. And here where we can, bet on radio, that radio is evolving and coming with a bang. A new form of radio, a new age of radio, which is coming.
So somehow we are not getting the right information there. And there is another question that radio, everybody assumes that radio industry means only radio jockey, but that is not the point. Radio
Absolutely.
Industry has so many opportunities. Can you elaborate as that?
Right. So because radio was only an audio media, it was a blind media, the traditional radio. But now we can see, radio jockey who are doing radio shows, they're doing live, Facebook live, they're doing Instagram live. So it is now becomes an audio visual media. But and medium which is focusing on majorly on audio simultaneously, but the need of the time it is concentrating on making their video content as well. Of course, radio jockeys were the only voice of radio, but behind a radio jockey or behind a radio set or setup, there are many people who are working simultaneously with radio jockeys. For say, a programming head, who is the head of the programming. A radio jockey reports that person, who is the master of creativity. You will find people who are producing show, but who are not radio jockeys, who are planning the shows, who are managing the content. There are script writers who are writing scripts for radio and specifically scripting for entertainment of radio. There are copywriters who are writing audio commercial scripts. So there are music managers who manages the music which we get to listen to radio, which is not a job of a radio jockey or a producer. So there are multiple positions in a radio where people can work. So if I am not very affluent or extrovert, I may not be a person who can speak confidently in front of a microphone. So I cannot be a radio jockey, but I can be a music manager because I'm a music enthusiast. I can be a program producer because I can create new content. I may be a very introvert person. I cannot speak. Music is not my forte, but I can write in an efficient way. I can be a scriptwriter or a copywriter. So there are multiple posts. Along with them, there are people who are continuously doing their brainstorming and other required like activities as branding team, as marketing team, as sales team. So in media studies, we teach media management. In media studies, we teach media economics. So these are the areas where our students or other people can work.
Okay, so what are the basic educational qualification one must have to join radio industry?
See, knowledge is something in you go to any field, it will help you to perform at your best. So there is no grammar behind it, but a person who is minimum graduate, you can expect good knowledge or better understanding from that person. So I would say maybe a graduate student would be can be a person who can work with radio.
Okay. So, sir, what inspired you to join radio?
Tough. I don't remember what inspired me, but I think it was the love of speaking my heart out, an opportunity where I can speak a lot because as a kid I was a very introvert kind of a person. Hardly I used to speak with anybody, but I have realized I never got that opportunity where I can open up in front of people who are maybe known, maybe unknown. But radio gave me that opportunity to speak for the people who cannot speak.
Okay, that was so amazing. So, the introverts out there, you can also join radio. As I said, it's not only on. It's not only the medium of extroverts. So, we have talked about radio. Now, I want to ask you that what is podcast, and how one can start his or her own podcast channel.
Okay, so again, if I explain what is podcast, I need to explain why radio is not podcast. Because radio is a traditional media. It used to be. Now it is changing every day. Every media is changing every day because media is an industry which is very dynamic. You know, the way we used to read newspaper, now we read digital paper. There was traditional television channels, then satellite television came, now we are on OTT platform. So the form of audio visual is changing every day. So as radio. So radio is a form of traditional audio media. Simultaneously, podcast is an audio platform which can be accessed through internet medium. Radio you cannot download. Radio is a system. But podcast you have that access to download it. Radio has dynamic kind of program, one channel, different kind of program for different TG maybe sometimes. But podcast is very thematic audio production, which can be accessed through internet or digital platform only. So this is the difference basically. These are the basic difference of podcasting and radio. And I think anybody can start their podcast. People out there who want to do something with their creativity. Podcast can be audio podcast can be audio visual these days. So if you want to start your own, if you're not getting that expected platform, you should start your podcast. You just need to have your phone, maybe an Android phone, any phone you use or operate. You just need to record your own video or own voice. Everybody knows editing these days. There are multiple apps are available in Play Store. You just can download it. There are platforms through which you can learn those kind of app, how you can operate those apps, and you just start your podcast. And people out there who really wants to do something, you can start with your podcast. This is a wonderful opportunity, and podcasts are becoming very famous these days in third world country. Rather in Western country, podcast is a very old game, but we are adopting podcast right now in this age.
And another industry, audio media industry, is growing rapidly. That is voiceover industry.
Absolutely.
So how one can become a voiceover artist, a successful voiceover artist?
Tough question. But I would say voiceover industry was always there, because people who are working with films are always connected with the voiceover industry, because dubbing is a very important part of filmmaking. So voiceovers industry are always there, but it becomes very popular when we introduced with one content available for different regional languages. For say a particular film or a particular cartoon, very popular cartoon, for say Doraemon is very popular among young kids. So if you want to popularize this particular animated film, for say Doraemon, available to different kind of people who speaks or understand different kind of language, you need dubbing for it with different language, with different versions of this Doraemon. Content is same, but the versions are different. So here it comes when you need voiceover people of those regional language who can speak regional language as per their requirement, and go with the dubbing. And how can be a person becomes a popular voiceover artist? I think your voice quality, to understand for which character you are going to give your voice, practice pronunciation, speaking your own language. These are very important. You just need to understand what is required on screen, and you just need to deliver. A voiceover artist is basically a voice actor. People who are acting in front of the camera, they have different kind of quality. Voice over artists are actors behind the camera with voice.
Absolutely. So can you please suggest some strategies to work with voice, or to uplift our tonal quality or range of voice tonal quality?
Number one is stop wasting your voice. If you preserve something, if it is important for you, you need to preserve, right? We preserve our assets, right? So one has to preserve their voice. You cannot, if you want to be someone who is different, your actions need to be different from others. Very frankly. So first of all, one has to preserve his or her voice. You should take care of your voice. Uh, fighting with this weather, avoiding cough and cold. Though I don't do all these, I do everything possible under the sky with my voice. But I'm very blessed because I don't suffer with cough and cold often. But people who does, they need to take care of their voice. For that, if they should avoid, if they have to avoid having ice cream, they should avoid having ice cream. Fine. And practice, sadhana, riyaz is important to become a good singer. Similarly, every day reading a paragraph, uh, reading your language properly, voice acting, record your voice in a recording jet like maybe your mobile phone, listen to it. How can you improvise your voice? Take one sentence in your regional language, in that language you are fluent with, and try to take 10 different takes for that single sentence differently. For say in Bengali, uh, if I give an example, for say, can I speak Bengali here for just for this moment? For say, I'm taking a sentence, Ami bhat khabo. This is one sentence. So one should practice Ami bhat khabo in 10 different ways. Ami bhat khabo. 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 So there are different ways of improvising the same sentence in different way. This will help you to become a good voiceover artist maybe.
That was really amazing.
This is the way I practice, so I can share that.
Okay, so currently you are an assistant professor. So if anyone wants to join academics, how can they start or what to do?
See, if you want to be a radio professional or a radio jockey, graduation is okay. Fine. Because industry will teach you many things which academics may not teach you. But if you have a planning to join academics, then education is mandatory. Graduation cannot be the limit. Graduation even cannot be the minimum limit of your education. Minimum masters and plus. So I have completed my masters while I was working with different media, initially for television and later on radio. I never felt that when I had my graduation degree, I never felt that okay, I don't want to study more. There was an urge from within where I wanted to study masters. Knowingly or unknowingly, ki what will I do with this master's degree in future? See, now my destiny has landed me here in academics industry and helped me a lot to get a job. Plus, a few years of industry experience. So students or people who are radio enthusiast or any media enthusiast wants to join academic industry, I think they should take education or study very seriously. And if they also have the experience from the industry, this will add on something special to their career. They can teach their student, I would say, more efficiently rather than a teacher who is coming from only academic background. Because you cannot restrict journalism or media studies within the book chapters. It needs industry experience because after all, students are going to work there. A large number of students, maybe a few number of students will join academics for it is academics. But a teacher, for say like me, I can share those anecdotes with my students, which I have collected from the industry. And I'm sure these incidents, these examples will help them in future if they join industry.
Okay. So, as an assistant professor, what would be your advice to your students? And what are the basic things that students are lacking nowadays, according to you, obviously?
Okay, advice, I would say ki you need to understand what exactly you want out of your career. So my advice is to find a goal and work towards your goal and work for your goal to achieve that goal. Work for it. Don't only study. Don't run behind to get a degree. You a degree will never gonna help you in future if you don't have a goal. Okay, for next 5 years you want to see yourself somewhere. For that degree will help you. Go ahead, but find that 5 years plan. Chalk it down. What are your 5 years plan from today, and work towards that. And what is lacking? Uh, I think I will be coined as a villain if I say this, but uh, I think seriousness. I think lacking is vision. They don't know what they exactly want in their life. Lacking is they're very reluctant. I find students these days are very reluctant. I don't know why they're reluctant, for what they are reluctant, but for us, when I used to be a student, there were no one to help us with getting a job. But these days, many universities are commit students to provide with placement assistance. I don't know, this kind of promises may be uh, working as a maybe working as a different way to the students. This kind of promises should encourage a student to pursue a career or pursue a particular program or course from that university. But this kind of promises should not make that student very reluctant towards the course, where they know after finishing this course anyhow they will get a job. So seriousness, reluctant towards their education, and I think lacking of vision, what exactly they want out of their career, is missing in this generation mostly. But I've met many students who are very clear about their career and what they want out of their education career.
So, as you mentioned, these are the problems, but what are the solutions? We need solutions, right?
Solution is you need to take your life very seriously. So every day we live, every day we lose out of our whole lifetime. What I mean to say is we are losing out a day from our total lifespan. So every coin has a dark side of it. The way I'm living today, if today is tomorrow will come, so today will be my past. So how I'm going to use today to make my future better, we need to think about it. So my solution, my solution will comes with suggestion. I can only suggest, I can only, in some cases I can request my students that you should pull your socks up, you should study hard, you should take your education seriously, so that you never know in future when your education will help you or will back you. For instance, in my case it helped me. I never knew how doing a master's will help me in my industry career. No industry asked me ki, come and show me your master degree. Neither television nor radio. They only asked me to perform, and I did my job. They never asked me ki, what was your result, show me your master degree, what was your percentage, whether I was a good student or may not be a good student. But when I landed to an academic industry, everybody is asking that. So every student should take their academic career seriously to make their future brighter.
Okay. So, before concluding our show, I want to hear from you a real life story where radio really motivated people in their real life, or people survived because of a radio show.
Okay, so I have many stories from my own experience. Which one to share? In Pinseptipin. Okay, fine. So let me share a story of mine. So I met a woman. That time I used to be a radio jockey in North Bengal, Siliguri, and I was working with one of the radio stations available there. So beside the radio station, we used to run a radio academic center where we used to uh, teach how to be a radio jockey, because private commercial FM radio concept was very new at that point of time. I'm talking about in the year of 2008. 2008. I was a kid at that point of time. So I met a candidate who took admission for to become a radio jockey, and the lady was a quite mature lady, and obviously elder to me, and her 80% vision was blurred. Uh, and when I had a discussion with her, she told me, as per the doctor's thing, like doctor's suggestion, she will be blind in future. So she wants to stay with radio, because radio is an was a blind media. Radio is a blind media. So nobody will recognize her, the voice behind the audio box. At that point of, radio jockeys were not seen in social networking sites. It was strictly told to us that we may have our profile on Facebook or Orkut at that point in time, but we cannot post any kind of photographs. So that lady was very morose kind of a woman, a very boring kind of a person. So I used to get sometimes irritated, like, we need enthu when you work in radio, but that was lacking in her. One day I have decided to discuss a few things with her. Hey, what exactly happened? Why you are like this? You have invested an amount to become a radio jockey, so you should learn properly, right? So for that, you need that energy within you. That day she shared a lot of story of her life, where she was a married woman, and she got molested by her husband's friend. They uh, somehow or the other, they took their advantage because she was not able to see people in front of her properly. Now she is divorced, and she is rather the only child of her parents. And after having a disturbed married life, her parents were forcing her to go back to her husband's house, because who will marry in our society to a blind woman? Her husband was perfectly fine, and that person was a doctor as per her. But she don't want to continue with this kind of people who allow his friends to molest his wife. This was this serious, and she came out of that relationship. So I told her, you are already a fighter woman, because you have taken this decision and staying far from your family. Her family stays in Howrah. There is a place in Kolkata, and she used to stay in North Bengal with a house help. Fine. So from where you have gathered this power to move forward towards your own life? She said, it's radio. It's your voice who inspired me in this age, that I can also be a part of radio. I can also speak my heart out, where people won't judge me whether I am a beautiful lady or an ugly lady or a blind or my eyes are beautiful like Aishwarya Rai, people won't judge me. People will create my own picture in their heart. It is you, Arnab, who inspired me to come out of my closet and to become a part of your radio. That day, I went to my home and I cried a lot. I never expected this gift from her in my life at that point of time when I joined radio for uh, 2 years. I was also learning radio. 2 years is a very small time to learn a particular industry, media industry. And now this lady becomes a professor of law department of a very well-known college of Kolkata. She have received many government prizes, including an award from the President of India for her bravery in different sectors. And still she calls me and, shows me her gratitude that it is you who motivated me.
My God, such an inspiring story. I am just now shivering. So, sir, thank you so much for coming in our show.
You're welcome.
I have learned a lot in this episode. So, guys, if you have any question left, you can ask in the comment section and we will definitely reach to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.